The psychology of people who read messages but take hours to reply. You check your phone. The message says read 9:47 a.m. It's now noon. No reply. Just silence. And somewhere in your chest, a small, irrational storm begins to brew. We've all been there, staring at that read receipt like it owes us an explanation. But here's where it gets interesting. What if I told you that the person who left you on read isn't being cold, isn't playing games, and isn't plotting your social demise? What if their brain is literally wired differently, processing your message the way a symphony orchestra processes sheet music instead of a quick drum solo? And honestly, pause for a second. Have you ever been that person? Phone in hand, message read, fully intending to reply, and then somehow 2 hours dissolve like smoke. Today, we're going to decode exactly what's happening inside the mind of someone who reads messages but takes forever to reply. And the science might just make you see them and yourself a little differently. Here's something nobody talks about. Instant communication is, evolutionarily speaking, brand new. For most of human history, a message took days, sometimes weeks. You sent a letter, you waited, life continued. Your nervous system had time to breathe between social interactions. Psychologists call this an evolutionary mismatch, when the environment changes faster than our biology can adapt. Our brains, according to researchers Nesse and Williams, are still running ancient software on very modern hardware. And it gets more specific. Robin Dunbar's famous research found that the human brain is cognitively optimized to manage roughly 150 stable relationships, and that's already pushing it. Now imagine your phone delivering social input from 300, 500, 1,000 connections simultaneously. The brain isn't broken, it's overwhelmed. John Sweller's cognitive load theory explains it clearly. Our working memory has a hard limit. Every unread message, every notification ping, every typing bubble is competing for the same finite mental bandwidth. For some people, that bandwidth fills up faster than others, not because they're rude, because they're human, just more sensitive to stimulation than the average person. Now here's where society gets it completely wrong. When someone doesn't reply quickly, we project. We assume distance. We assume disinterest. Rejection sensitivity research by Downey and Feldman shows that humans are wired to interpret social ambiguity as rejection, especially those with anxious attachment. So the scene with no reply becomes, in the anxious mind, a verdict. But flip to the other side of the phone. The slow replier has read your message. They felt it. They started composing a response mentally, maybe 3 or 4 different versions of it. And somewhere between version 2 and version 3, the dog barked, a work email arrived, and their already stimulated nervous system quietly hit its limit. Hans Eysenck's research on introversion found that introverts maintain a higher baseline level of cortical arousal, meaning their brains are already more on than extroverts, even at rest. More stimulation doesn't energize them, it overloads them. The message wasn't ignored, it was received so completely that they needed time to process it properly. The read receipt isn't a door being closed, it's a mind opening a very complex file. So what's actually happening neurologically? Let's go a layer deeper. Dr. Elaine Aron's landmark research on highly sensitive people, or HSP, found that roughly 15 to 20% of the population has a trait called sensory processing sensitivity. These individuals process information more deeply at a neural level. They notice more, they feel more, and crucially, they need more time to respond to stimuli before acting. This isn't weakness. Aron's research consistently links SPS to richer emotional depth, stronger empathy, and more considered decision-making. The slow replier isn't checked out, they're checked in, almost too much. Add to this the dopamine dimension. Research by Johnson and colleagues found that introverts and extroverts have fundamentally different dopamine sensitivities. Extroverts' brains light up like a pinball machine from social stimulation. More is more. Introverts reach their optimal stimulation threshold much faster. The social reward system is dimmer by design, not broken, calibrated differently. And then there are mirror neurons. Rizzolatti and Craig Harrow's research on the mirror neuron system revealed how we neurologically simulate others' emotional states. For highly sensitive, slow repliers, reading a message isn't passive, it's a full emotional simulation. They feel what you might be feeling when you wrote it. That takes energy. That requires recovery. Think of it this way. Some brains are espresso machines, quick, reactive, high output. Others are slow drip pour-overs. The coffee is richer, it just takes longer. Now, let's make this practical and a little generational. Your grandmother wrote a letter. She waited 2 weeks for a reply. She didn't spiral. Your dad left a voicemail, expected a call back by end of week. Perfectly normal. You send a text at 2 p.m. and quietly panic by 4 p.m. Something has shifted, and it's not just technology, it's the expectation architecture technology has installed in our emotional operating systems. Attachment theory, originally from John Bowlby, later expanded by Bartholomew and Horowitz, explains much of this variance. Anxious attachers need frequent, fast contact to feel secure. Avoidant attachers protect their cognitive space by regulating social input. The slow replier isn't always avoidant, but their communication pace reads as avoidance to an anxiously attached person. The mismatch isn't about love or respect, it's about nervous system differences. In professional contexts, Cal Newport's research on deep work shows that our most cognitively productive people are often the least immediately responsive. Reactive availability and deep thinking are neurologically incompatible. The genius who replies at midnight isn't ignoring you all day, they're protecting the mental state that makes them worth messaging in the first place. The takeaway? Emotional intelligence, as Goleman defines it, includes regulating your own response to others' communication paces, not just managing your own emotions. Here's the cultural moment we're living in. Research by Kushlev and Dunn found something almost radical. People who checked their email less frequently had measurably lower cortisol levels, less digital input, less stress hormone. The always-on communication culture isn't neutral, it's physiologically expensive. McDaniel and Radesky coined the term technoference, the way technology interferes with present-moment human connection. The irony is sharp. Tools built to connect us are generating anxiety, power dynamics, and disconnection. Left on red has become modern social currency, a way to signal status, control, or simply overwhelm. But something is shifting. Attention restoration theory from Kaplan suggests that humans naturally recover cognitive function through periods of low stimulation. The always-on communication culture isn't neutral, it's neurologically sound. So here's what the science is actually telling us. If you're a slow replier, your pace isn't a flaw, it's a feature of a deeply processing mind. You absorb more, feel more, and when you do reply, you give more. The world needs people who don't fire off reflexive responses. It needs people who think before they speak or type. And if you're the one watching that read receipt, the silence probably isn't about you. It's about a nervous system doing its best in a world that moves faster than biology intended. Kristin Neff's research on self-compassion reminds us that understanding our own patterns without judgment is the first step towards genuine connection. Extend that same compassion outward. Your communication rhythm is not a character flaw. It's a chapter of your neurological story, and it deserves to be understood, not apologized for. If this felt uncomfortably relatable,
drop an ears emoji in the comments if you're the slow replier, or an eyes emoji if you're the one waiting. And if you want to understand what your texting habits actually reveal about your attachment style, that video is coming next. You're not going to want to miss it.